Hey, everybody. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Robery, and as always, guys, I would like to welcome you all to this week's show. It is an absolutely beautiful morning here in South Louisiana. We have temperatures up in the this morning, waking up, we're right around 42 degrees, touching 40 degrees, and it has been nice and cool all week long. Lots of sunshine, so we have a lot to look forward to as we get closer to duck season opening up here. We did have I'm used to saying coastal, guys, but we had a West Zone youth opener this weekend. So it has kicked off officially here in Louisiana for some of us that listen to the show. Hope you guys are enjoying the beautiful weather. Like I mentioned, if you are having the opportunity to get into the duck blind, I know that we're looking forward to it. Jackson and myself are going to be heading out after we wrap up this podcast this morning. We're going to be doing some scouting down in the Louisiana marshes and looking forward to spending the day doing that. So daylight savings time is now upon us, guys. We officially rolled back the clocks last night with daylight savings time. So we're going to be having shorter days, less daylight this time of year, but that also means that it's waterfowl and hunting season, guys. So great time of year. Looking forward to it, and we are ready and fired up to get things kicked off and rolling here for our waterfowl season in Louisiana. But as always, like I said, want to thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to the show. We got a lot of feedback this week from our previous episode that we did with our guest, Mr. Thomas Robery, who's my father. Really enjoyed last week's episode. If you guys have not had an opportunity to catch last week's episode, I highly recommend tuning in and trying to catch that episode, because boy, we told some stories of years gone by, and having my father on was something that was really special to me to be able to have him on the show. I know we have been trying to get together for about 2 years. Unfortunately, I know it's sad that it took that long for us to do it, but my dad was a big outdoorsman back in his younger days, and he had stories to tell from years gone by that I wanted to share with all of you who listen to the show. So I hope you guys enjoyed them, and from the feedback we got, you guys did. You said you were in your vehicles laughing. Couldn't stop laughing. I had several of you message me about it, saying that you had heard a specific part of the show, you couldn't believe it, and you were dying laughing. So I know if you guys enjoyed it as much as I had fun bringing the show to you guys when I was interviewing him, I couldn't control myself. I was laughing so hard I was crying. So we had a blast doing that show. And we have another great show on tap this week for you guys. We are going to be heading up to the Atlantic Flyway, guys, via modern-day technology and the internet. And we are going to have a special guest on the show this week that I'm looking forward to. This gentleman is a friend of mine that we got to know each other through social media, following each other's pages on Instagram. And he is an avid waterfowl hunter just like we are down here. And they have already kicked off their waterfowl season in West Virginia, which is where he's based out of. And we're going to be talking with Mr. Carl Birchfield of X-Fowls Waterfowl up in West Virginia, guys. And like I mentioned, they are in the Atlantic Flyway, so it's a completely different area than we're accustomed to talking about here on the show. But I figured you guys would be interested in meeting Carl. I'd like to introduce you all to him. Because you know what? At the end of the day, he is a fellow waterfowl that enjoys the passion of duck hunting just like all of us. And it's pretty cool to get a perspective from a different flyway of what they're seeing so far this season. Like I mentioned, they have already opened up their season in West Virginia. So we're going to get a report from Carl on how it's been going so far and kind of what they're hunting, what they're seeing species-wise, and so on and so forth, guys. So we hope you enjoy it. So at this time, I'd like to try to get Carl on with us. Let's welcome him into the show. So bear with me 1 second. For those of you who are on YouTube watching the stream, we're going to bring Carl in right about now. Carl, good morning, buddy. Can you hear us?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, my man. So how is it going? We were kind of talking to each other before we got on the live recording, and I just told you I thank you so much for spending some time with us on this week's podcast. I know you are someone who has got to know us through social media and listening to the podcast. And, man,
Yes.
You an avid waterfowl hunter, so I'm glad to have you on the show, man. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you asking me. I really enjoy your podcast, and like I say, become pretty good friends here. You know, when you meet waterfowl hunters, they're all basically about the same, and they're all, you know, talk duck, and that's what we'll do.
That's exactly right, man. It's so funny. I saw a meme about a week ago, Carl. It's like duck hunters, you know, when not during the season, and it's like they super friendly to each other. And it says those guys meet up on the same public piece of property to hunt, and you enemies at that point. A lot of people look at it. They have that funny meme going around. And that's really, you know, you do see some of that, Carl, but it's really, man, waterfowl hunting community is a really tight-knit community, no matter where you're from and your geographics.
Right. And there is some people it's like that, but I try not to be like that, especially the new hunters. I've seen so many new hunters get shunned, and so I try to help them out as best I can.
Yeah, and we're the same way, man. That's what started this whole thing for us, to be honest with you. It was something that I could, get to do with my sons. Jackson, through social media as well. I know he follows your page, and that's really what started it all, was getting them involved, just new hunters coming to the sport, man. Because in the grand scheme of things, Carl, I think we've kind of missed out as a group of outdoorsmen. I think we've kind of missed out on bringing some of these new hunters to the sport, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And for years, when the whole Duck Dynasty thing kicked off a few years ago, they had older hunters like myself saying, "Oh man, this younger generations, they don't know how to hunt. They're the Duck Dynasty generation," And it got a little frustrating with them sometimes. But when I look back at it, we might have not took the time to introduce that generation to do it the right way.
Yeah, I agree. That's what a lot of youth don't get the opportunities like we had. Because when I first started, I met a gentleman that I worked with, and he took me under his wing and showed me everything. So, like I said before, I try to do the same thing because I've seen so many hunters get shunned. So I try to help out. Yeah, I mean, I don't do much, but I try to do the best I can.
That's right, and that's an awesome thing to do, man. If we could introduce more hunters with all the crazy stuff we got going on now in the world, and all the fighting against trying to take guns away and all this different stuff, outdoorsmen need to stick together, and we need to teach the younger generation.
Yeah, I agree, and especially waterfowl. I don't know the statistics, but I'm pretty sure that waterfowl, as far as the groups, is probably the smallest group out of, like, say, deer hunters, turkey hunters, and like that. And we don't have as many people getting involved hunting-wise as people following whitetail, going out and whitetail hunting. So I think whatever we can do to get the youth involved, or any hunter actually, to waterfowl, to keep our sport going, is a plus.
That's right. And you bring up a good point, Carl. I would agree. We are probably the smallest group of hunters out there. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just duck hunting? It's a lot to get involved in whenever somebody starts up, or they don't have access to bring somebody that's maybe interested in waterfowl hunting? What do you think is the situation there?
I'm going to say probably access, to bring somebody, and maybe the areas, because not everybody has, West Virginia, for example, is not known as a duck hunting state. So we don't have a lot of ducks like you guys do down there. So some people probably don't have less than what we got, so they probably don't get, introduced to waterfowl like we do here.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I think access has a lot to do with it. Some states really manage the public land hunting a lot better than others. I know here in Louisiana we have a lot of land here, and people that I talk to from outside of Louisiana looking in, they say, "Man, you guys have unlimited access to wherever you want to hunt." But honestly, at the end of the day, that's really not the case, because a lot of it's privately owned, a lot of it's leased land that you have to lease, and nowadays that's not cheap, Carl. It's expensive. To get a leased duck blind, it's absolutely outrageous nowadays to be able to do that. So you therefore have to be pushed to public hunt, and everybody knows how tough public hunting can be, especially for somebody breaking into the sport.
Yeah, public's pretty much all we got up here. I got a few private spots. Then we got the high river that we hunt on too. But it's tough to get into.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we were talking a while ago before we got on. We were saying, you said, "Boy, I wish I could be on my back porch this morning, recording this podcast." It's a little different up in West Virginia from what I hear weather-wise right now, huh?
Yeah, when I got up this morning, it was about 27, 28 degrees. And right before we got on here, I looked at my phone and it said 32 degrees. So it's a little chilly up here right now.
That's right. That's right. So you guys are obviously in a completely different flyway than we are here. We're in the Mississippi flyway down in Louisiana. You guys are up in the Atlantic flyway. And like I was telling our listeners at the beginning of the show, you guys have already kicked off your waterfowl season in West Virginia. So fill us in a little bit on what you saw and when your season kicks off, differences compared to what we have, because we obviously have not kicked off waterfowl season officially here in Louisiana yet. So how's things working in West Virginia where you are?
Sure. Our first season started October 1st. We have a 2-week early duck season. And it's primarily wood ducks and teal, what we see up here. Occasionally we'll see maybe some mallards, but the last couple of years there hasn't been any mallard. But it's probably one of our best wood duck years in a long time. And I think it had to do with COVID, because last year you wasn't allowed. I hunt in a wildlife management area, and it's a lottery hunt the first 2 weeks. So last year, the only way you could get in there to hunt is if you had a draw. They didn't take no walk. Normally, they take in walk-ins after they do their lottery. Well, last year, there was no walk-ins, strictly letters. So and wasn't very many hunters, so a lot of ducks didn't get shot last year. So we were just covered up with wood ducks. So like I say, we had one of our best seasons wood duck-wise.
Yeah, it looks like it so far, man, because if we follow you or if you go check out Carl at X-Fowls on Instagram, that y'all laying it down pretty heavy on those wood ducks right now up there in West Virginia, man. They are slaughtering some wood ducks. And Carl, you guys up there, is it still a 3 duck limit on wood ducks like it is down here?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Still 3 ducks.
Okay. So, yeah, 3 ducks. So you got to be motivated as a public land hunter to get up and go, because if you're not seeing a whole lot of other species, that could be a quick hunt pretty quick for you.
Oh, yes, it can be. Like some years we have a lot of teal. So we try to do a little teal hunt after we get our wood duck limits. But it's, usually by the time wood ducks season, or that's what we call early duck season, teal are mostly going. There might be a few up here, but most of them are going.
Now, when you talking teal, you seeing teal, is that blue wing, or y'all get a group, or y'all get mainly green wings at that time of year?
Well, it's mainly green wings, but we do have some blue wing, a little bit of both.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Our teal season opens up here in Louisiana right around September, mid part of September. We open up actually small game hunting season in October, first weekend in October. So we're a little bit behind y'all, as in comparison. But we mainly blue wing teal in September. Green wings typically don't show up till right around this time for us for a big duck season opener here in Louisiana.
Yeah, like I say, usually they're gone by the time we go. We got a season open up tomorrow. It's our mid-season. We got a week there. So they should be all gone. But I have seen them. I've seen teal up here in December before. So it just really depends.
Yep. Now, Carl, how long have you been? If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? What generation are you from?
54. I'm from a little town called Point Pleasant. It's right along the High River there.
Okay. So you kind of have you, in your opinion, everybody talks about the decline of waterfowl hunting and less birds. It seems like every year that seems to be the case. What have you seen since you started? When did you get into waterfowl hunting? Was it at a young age? Was it later in life?
It was later in life. Like I said, I met a friend of mine. He hunts with us in my group that I work with, and that was probably about 18. I've been waterfowling about 18 years now, and that's how I met it through him. Got started through him, and I missed out a lot of my youth because some of the stories he'd been hunting a lot longer than I had, and he just tell me about before I hunted it. There was a lot of ducks up there where we hunt at, and it's dropped off over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that seems to be, no matter where you are across the United States, that seems to be the story that most people tell. Back in the day, it was so much better than you see nowadays, but, and that definitely has been the case for the most part. But, like we talked about earlier, you're definitely seeing less hunters coming to the sport now, which, and I think that has something to do with it. And migration patterns have changed. I know here in the Mississippi Flyway, it's definitely changed here in Louisiana. So there's a lot of different things that have contributed to that. But that seems to be the common core theme across the board, no matter who you talk to,
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, most time it's teal and wood ducks up here. But I can remember when I first started, you'd see a few mallards around and everything. But over the last maybe 3-4 years, it's been less and less. And we didn't hear or see any this beginning of this season. So I don't know if that's going to be a sign of what's going to be coming in the late season. Because usually late seasons when we start seeing a lot of our big ducks. So hopefully that'll it won't be the case. We'll start seeing a lot. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do y'all get gadwall down in there? What other species do you come across in West Virginia? Because like you mentioned earlier, West Virginia is not typically known as a big waterfowl state, right?
Right. But the last two late season, our late season is December 23rd through January 30th. And usually by the time January gets here, we start getting some pretty good ducks. So last 2 years, we've had a lot of gadwall, a lot of black ducks. The mallard numbers, they stay about the same. We don't really get no big, at least where I'm hunting at. Now, maybe in other parts of like up north in Wheeling, West Virginia, along the high river, they might see more. But where I'm at, we don't see typically a lot of mallards. So we see a few. Now, if you hunt the high river, you're going to see all kinds of stuff. Because if you think about the high river, when them ducks come down north, they use the high river as a guide to get to the south. It's like it's a highway for them. They follow that river all the way down to the south. So you see a lot of mallards. You see I have friends kill canvasbacks on the high river, buffleheads. There was another species I can't think of. But anyway, there was different species, a lot more different species when you hunt the high river. So we try to hunt it a little bit. We don't have a big boat, so we had to hunt on the bank, and we got kayaks, so we have to wait till the river's pretty calm so we can get out there and retrieve our ducks. So,
well, it sounds like you guys get a pretty good mixed bag, and that was a question I was about to ask you: the style of hunting that y'all do. Compared to down south, down here we have a lot of guys that have mud boats. You've heard of Go Devil, you've heard of Pro Drive, Gator Tail, all these brands. And those are companies based here in Louisiana because, a lot of the mud motor sales are sold down here in the South because of our shallow marshes and stuff like that. But I was going to ask you about that. Like, what's the typical setup for you guys in West Virginia as far as mud boats go? Do guys use mud boats up there, or is it mainly, you kayak hunting like you kind of touched on? What's a typical setup up there?
I don't know if anybody has the mud motors on their boats. Now they probably are, but I don't know of any place in West Virginia that you would use them. But most people have the typical duck hunting boats on the high river. Now where we hunt at in the WMA that I hunt at, we mostly use kayaks. So that's our biggest thing. We've been using kayaks for the last 3 or 4 years, and that was a big game changer for us. It allowed us to hunt areas that we just couldn't possibly hunt before. So, yeah, kayaks are our main thing.
Yeah. And, I've had some experience kayak hunting before. To be honest with you, Carl, that's something I really enjoyed. Before I got a mud boat, I purchased a kayak years ago when I wanted to access public land areas and I wanted to get into some areas kind of away from the hunting pressure. And to be honest with you, that's a whole nother niche that I think is oftentimes overlooked because it does free up a lot of area for you to get away from some of that pressure when you are in an area that has a lot of guys that have big hunting boats, setups. And it's really, it's kind of a getting back to nature type hunt, in my opinion. It's something about it that's really special when you get a chance to kayak or float a river, maybe in a canoe, do something like that, and do some hunting.
Yeah, I want to try to do more of that, floating the river or creeks. Looks awesome. I haven't tried it yet, but I think that would be a good way to go with kayak and duck hunting. But yeah, you're right. It allows you to access to get away, especially when you're hunting a lot of public area. I mean, sometimes there could be some hunters up there where we hunt at. Then there's days up there when it's just my guys hunting up there. So, but when there are a lot of people up there, it allows us to go to places that normally a lot of people can't go. So.
Yeah, it opens up a lot of access for sure, and really the birds are accustomed to, down here we see it all the time. We'll have birds. We'll scout, like today. Me and Jackson's going to head out scouting after the show today, and you'll have birds that are in a particular area holding, and you hear this story very common down here. I had birds yesterday when we scouted, but then we show up tomorrow morning to hunt, and those birds are left the area because they're hearing these mud motors coming through the marshes, through the swamps, and these birds have conditioned themselves to where they know they're educated, so they get up and they move. But when you hunt a kayak or something like that, you have you don't have that noise and that all that chatter going around throughout the day, and you can scout an area, go in there and make a hunt, and those birds aren't disturbed like they are when you have access with these big mud motor setups and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point there, because I mean, stealth can mean a lot right there. Sneaking up, scouting, like you're saying. You don't want to spook your birds out there. So kayaks are awesome. I mean, they allow, like I said before, the hunt allow us to get to places you just could not get before. And then there's some ponds that we can get to, but if we hunt them, we don't have a dog. So if we down a duck, all we got to do is just drag our kayak right up there and just you can retrieve it. So
just go out and get it. That's right. That's exactly right. So as far as kayak setup, what you got, Carl? What you use? I mean, is it a certain length kayak that you find's better up there than or is it a sit-in kayak, sit on top kayak? What's the setup?
I used the beaver tail Phantom. Me and one buddy's we both got Phantoms. Then my other buddy's got the Final Attack, and he's got a little trolling motor on his. So like when we're hunting the river, that we'll use his boat, and he can just troll out there and retrieve our ducks and come back. But the Phantoms work great where we're at. They're light. I mean, we can get them around. We can transport them in our vehicles easy. Just throw them in the back of our truck. So
yeah. Definitely. I had some experience. When I told you I had a kayak, I actually had the beaver tail stealth kayak, and it was a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, but that thing was absolutely amazing for stability wise. And a big guy like me, I'm 280 pounds, 6'2". I'm not the most nimble on my feet. I never have been. I'm not going to claim to say I was, but as I'm getting older, that gets a little worse, I find. So going with something like the beaver tail products, like you said, they offer different kayak styles. That's something that I would highly recommend to somebody. They make a phenomenal product. And actually, Carl, I'm running a beaver tail mud motor down here in Louisiana. That's what I run.
Cool. I'm a big guy too, and one of the things I do like about the beaver tail, they are stable now. Like I said, I had the Phantom, and when I got that thing, I rocked it and moved it, and did everything what I could do to test it to make sure that my big butt ain't gonna fall out of it. So
that's right. And they have that double catamaran bottom to them. It's a real stable setup, man. We sold beaver tail, all the sneak boats and stuff like that when I was with Cabela's for all those years. And every time we get those kayaks in stock, they'd sell out immediately. Guys really did like them, and they were versatile down here just as well as anywhere else. So they do make a very good kayak, that's for sure, to do some hunting out of. So good product for sure. But what about, let's talk about shotguns and stuff like that, Carl. What kind of going back to when you got into waterfowl hunting, and I always like to ask this. I'm watching a flock of ducks as we go. They are flying over my house right now, some wood ducks that just cut across. But anyway, going back to when you started out, what did Carl Birchfield start out with hunting-wise when it came to shotguns for waterfowl?
I started out with a Browning BPS.
All right.
And
That's a nice one.
Yeah, it was a real good gun. The only problem that I had and the only knock that I had is you load it in the bottom and it injects out the bottom. Well, a lot of times when the flurry was going on in the action, I would short chuck that thing and drop a shell out the bottom. So,
yep. I had an Ithaca that I do the same thing with. That was bottom eject like that.
That was the only downfall on that gun. So after that, I said, I can't afford to buy shells all the time, losing them.
Yeah, I hear you. They too, especially nowadays. They too expensive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I upgraded to Winchester SX3, and I absolutely love that gun. That gun, I put it through the mill. The only problem I ever had with that gun, I was goose hunting one year, and I didn't clean it before after I used it during turkey season. And I went to pull on a goose, and it didn't do nothing. And it was just dirty. It was my fault. So but after I've cleaned it, I ain't had an issue. And now I make a point to clean it after every use. But that gun has been phenomenal for me.
Yeah, it's amazing what a cleaning will do to help those guns operate.
Oh yeah.
But at SX3, I probably know 5 guys right now, Carl, that would buy that gun from you in a second, that are looking for that. I just talked to one of my good buddies the other day, and he told me, he said, man, I'm looking for an SX3. He said, if I could find one, he said, I'd snatch it up right now. But that's a phenomenal running platform. So that's a great gun for a waterfowler, definitely.
Yeah. Like I said, I love it, and I even use it for turkey season too. So it's an awesome gun.
But it's definitely something that you could use year round if you wanted to. So whenever we're talking about equipment, we often talk as waterfowl hunters about decoys. That's something that comes into play, and it's pretty important to a waterfowl hunter. So with you being mobile, Carl, y'all hunting out of kayaks. And y'all have a group of guys that hunt together with X-Fowls. Is that how it is? Or is it you and your sons? Or what's the setup there?
It's me and 4 other my buddies there. We all basically work together there. So that's how we all just started forming hunt. We started all actually hunting together. Then a few years ago, I come up and social media going on, really taking off. I thought I'll start something for us, sharing our pictures and stuff. Then it led into the X-Fowls thing, and it's really taken off for us. So hopefully it keeps on growing.
That's great, man. That is great. I know we enjoy following y'all on social media. You always have some good content on there. I know you started to get into the YouTube thing now. You're looking to start expanding a little bit on that. So man, it's always good because I find myself, my wife laughs at me because she's like, we don't even need cable anymore. She says all we need is YouTube or Moss Hill, or Realtree app, and she said, you good to go. I said, yep, that's exactly right. I end up watching more YouTube content than I do any kind of cable, unless it's college football or something like that,
That's fun because I've talked the same thing about my wife. I said, we need to just get rid of cable because that's all I watch now is YouTube.
Yep, it's true. It's true. I ended up getting that the YouTube subscription or whatever because I was getting angry with watching commercials and stuff on it. I said, I want to just be able to watch the video. So I ended up getting the unlimited deal or whatever. And that's what I find myself watching. That's where all the content's at that I'll enjoy. Yeah. And it's a great thing, man. That's the great side of social media,
Yeah.
So that's always entertaining and a good time. But going back to decoys, I kind of got off subject for a second. But with you guys being mobile as far as kayak hunting goes, what's decoy setup like up in West Virginia? Are we carrying in a dozen decoys, regular old deeks? Are we carrying motion decoys? Because we talk about that on the show, how important motion is to our spread down here in Louisiana. What is a typical setup that you guys use in West Virginia for where you hunt?
And if we're using decoys now, a lot of times we don't use decoys till late in the year. But if we are, it's usually a dozen or less. We never hardly use more than a dozen. And if I'm using motion, I got 2 Lucky Duck spinners that I'll set out.
Okay. So no decoys early in the season, and that's predominantly, I'm assuming, because you have a lot of wood ducks.
Yeah, we might throw out a couple wood ducks, and if there's teal in the area, then we'll use a few teal decoys. But other than that, we don't use none until late in the year.
Yeah, man, that sounds pretty good because we carrying down here sometimes in our boats and stuff. We're carrying several dozen decoys, and you can invest some money, bury some money pretty quickly when you're trying to keep that up every year. But you guys seem it appears to be a very light load for the most part.
Yeah, we try to keep it light because some of the places we have access to, we got to do some walking or we don't want to drag a lot of stuff. And for one, it's heavy, and we like to try to keep our noise down as much dragging equipment like a boat or a sled or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be mobile whenever you're in that situation. You got to keep it light. That's for sure. Yep. Well, as far as Lucky Duck products, you mentioned that. I know I'm a big fan of Lucky Duck. I started using their products a couple of years ago, and we have no affiliation with Lucky Duck whatsoever, but I enjoy their products. I do talk about their products quite often, and I've been very happy with their products as well. I find they're very reliable, very durable, and they make a good product, across the board. So I enjoy using their stuff.
Yeah, same here. I've been using Lucky Duck ever since they come out with the HD, their very first one, and so yeah, I've had nothing but good success with them.
Well, good. So you kind of talked about how X-Fowls began and started that page. Kind of tell all our listeners about X-Fowls. What you guys are. Is it mainly duck hunting? Obviously, you have a waterfowl name, title to it. Is it something that ultimately the long-term goal is to turn it into a business, or is it a freelance type situation? Because, like I mentioned, you guys put out some really good content on Instagram. Do y'all have a Facebook page as well, Carl?
Yeah, we do have a Facebook page, but I put most of my stuff on Instagram, and then it automatically goes to the Facebook page. So I spend most of my time on Instagram. I'll go over Facebook every now and then, but I spend most of seems like nowadays Instagram's where it is all at. So,
I agree.
And we don't have a lot of the bull that goes on Facebook a lot, compared to.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. So, I mean, X-Fowls was a concept, something that you guys came up with to kind of start a social media platform. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was mainly just something where I could start sharing our pictures with, because every time we go hunt, we was taking pictures and stuff. And I thought, well, shoot, just be neat to share them on. Well, I started sharing them actually on my Facebook, my own personal Facebook page there. And then I came up with the idea of X-Fowls a few years ago, probably about 3 years ago now, and started using more and more on Instagram there. So that's, like I say, Instagram is primarily where I share everything now. And we're trying to break into YouTube now. I'm trying to do a little filming. I'm not best yet at filming, so that's still a work in progress there. So, but we're trying to expand.
It is for us. I have to be honest too. We're with Jackson helping me. It's becoming a lot easier. He's going to be 13 in January, and now he's like, okay, Dad, I kind of enjoy filming behind the scenes, looking at it, and looking at the hunt, and that helps a lot when you got a guy who's a cameraman, and I'm not trying to film everything myself. It's making it a little bit easier now, but man, I see why it takes so much content, Carl, to get these videos that we watch that are done professionally, because it's a full-time job. You have to have multiple people on hand to get the video, to get the shots and all that stuff. It is not easy,
No, it's not. Like I said, I started filming a little bit last year, and I got some stuff, but it's just not, enough to really do. I need more guys filming or more cameras or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, it is tough. If you're really wanting to get something decent, it is tough to try to film.
That's right. You want to put out good content, you want to be able to have something that's worth watching, and it's a full-time job. I had a buddy of mine the other day. He told me, he said, man, how do you work full-time and do all the Last Stop Waterfowl stuff? He said, man, it seems like you outdoors every day pretty much filming. I said, no. I said, it's just when we have the opportunity to get out there, we try to get as much content as we can. And my wife, she don't even want to come with me no more because she's so angry. She's like, everywhere we go, you bring in the camera when we go outdoors. And I'm laughing. I said, yeah. I said, we trying to do this to where I have something for my boys to look back on later on in life as they get older. If they still enjoy hunting, they'll be able to look back at everything we've done through the years and share those memories with their kids maybe, or, or with each other. I have two boys, they'll be able to share that content with each other, and we can all look back at it. So I enjoy it. It also acts kind of like a journal, I guess you could say, from year to year, because it helps us in our hunting patterns and what we choose to do and where we choose to go. So it's not for the publicity. It's not really for the fame or nothing like that. It's just something that we can share with our family and friends, and then it also helps us from year to year as we hunt.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not in to make money because it'd be great if it would, but I just don't see it happening. But I'm in just having fun. I like doing it and making memories, sharing them and stuff. And I got a new granddaughter. I hope when she gets of age that I'm gonna get her into duck blind with me, and so that I hope that'll be something I can share with her and share this and that, and maybe get her interested, involved. Then I got one of my guys, alot. He's been filming. We went on a pheasant hunt yesterday, and he ran the camera for me all day. So I think he's going to do a little bit more filming too. So that'll make it easier for the group.
Yeah, that'll definitely help when you got that guy kind of behind the scenes that's filming everything. And nowadays with the technology, GoPros and all that type of stuff, it definitely makes it easier. It's pretty cool. Like I said, that's what it sounds like. Me and you end up watching most of our time when we got spare time. We're up on YouTube, and when that's what we're watching, And some of these guys, I'm so amazed at the content they put out there, because social media has changed the game. Definitely, it's just technology in general has opened up opportunities with all the mapping and stuff like that. Now I know we use OnX for our mapping source, and just stuff like that. Man, you could hop online, Carl, and you could scout online and then go out there and put that knowledge that you've learned to use in the field, So it's definitely technology has played a big part in today's society as far as hunting goes.
Oh, no doubt. OnX has helped me out a lot because I work. I can't get out all the time to go scout, and I can just pull it up on my laptop or on my phone and just look at it and drop a pin here and there. Then when I get the opportunity, either go hunt it or go scout it when I can.
That's right.
OnX, big plus.
Yeah, it makes you, it just makes you so much more efficient, is what it is. We're not like back, when I started out waterfowl hunting, I started out with my father, and then when I broke out on my own, you had to literally go out there and spend hours and hours and hours. And at the time I was in school, I went to college, I was in school, so I had time to do it. But as you get a job and you get kids and all that stuff and life starts changing, you don't get that access with a full-time job to be able to go out there and spend hours and hours scouting. So the technology has come along and helped that out,
Yeah, right. It's definitely helped us out a lot because I work a lot of hours, and there's times when I can't get out there. And like I said before, I can even do it at work when I go on break or lunch at work. Pull up my phone. I've done that many a times to look at a spot. So,
yeah, no doubt. It makes it a little bit easier, in utilizing your time that you do have available. Well, Carl, what kind of work do you do? What do you do full time?
I'm a furnace operator for Toyota Motor Manufacturing in West Virginia.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So good old USA job right here in the United States. So that's a good thing, man. That's great.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm actually in the marine business myself. I sell boats for a living. That's what I do. I've been in the marine business for years now. And I had a guy the other day. He said, "Man," he said, "you must be on the water all the time." He said, "Fishing and hunting." I said, "Well," I said, "I'll, in the summertime, to be honest with you," I said, "I can't." I said, "Because I'm out there selling you a boat to be able to go out and have a good time." I said, "So I don't get to get that time out there, but in the off season, we kind of slow down here, and we could go out and get a little bit more hunting done, which is all right with me."
Oh yeah, that's kind of the way my work is too. In the fall and the year, things slow down a little bit. People don't buy cars as much in the winter time as they do in the spring. So
that's right.
It's overtime.
That's right. Down here in Louisiana, it's kind of crazy because people say, well, especially my friends out of state, they'll say, well, y'all must be kind of slow. You be able to hunt in all season quite a bit. And really, we slow down, but down here we can boat year round for the most part. I got customers that buy pontoons in December, January. We don't really winterize boats down here because our temperatures just don't get cold enough for the most part. But we do stay somewhat busy year round down here, and that's a good thing for my business and for my career. So I don't take that for granted. But I like my time off in the off season to be able to do some hunting and go to the camp, man. So it's a good time of year. Now, do y'all have a camp down there? Is that something that's pretty common up there, or is it?
I'm sorry. Some people do, but we don't. One of my buddies lives pretty close to where we hunt, and so usually what we'll do is meet at his house sometimes, or after our hunt, we usually go to his house and we'll clean our birds there, and sometimes he'll cook up some duck for us. We'll eat some duck and make plans for our next hunt. So that's about as camp as we get right there.
Yeah, that's a good time. That sounds like a good time, man. And you brought up a point I was actually going to ask you about. Duck recipes. We're talking waterfowl. I'm one of them boys. I like to eat myself, Carl. I like to stay in the kitchen a little bit.
I hear you. I got the same problem.
So, as far as duck recipes, man, what's our favorite duck recipe for Carl?
Oh, that's a tough one. I get asked that a lot, and I really don't have nothing special. Just the basics, really. My friend Rob that hunts with us, he has this thing where we call it the duck tenderloin, that little sliver of meat that's behind the breast when you breast it out.
Yep.
And he seasons them with some Montreal steak seasoning and some other stuff I think he puts on there. And he just throws them on the George Foreman grill for just a couple minutes. And Jacob, I'm telling you, them things are absolutely delicious. They just melt in your mouth. They're awesome. Yeah. That's probably the best duck that I've ever eaten like that.
I tell you, man, we do something similar down here on the pit. We'll throw it on the Traeger on something like that. And that little piece of meat is that's almost like tenderloin backstrap for a deer on a duck, man. It is amazing. And a lot of people throw that away sometimes. They'll dispose of it and kind of bypass it. They'll breast it out. But, you're missing out if you are, because that's an excellent piece to be able to use for sure.
Yeah, you sure are.
That's right. Down here in Louisiana, we have a lot of Cajun cooking. We have a Cajun background heritage, down here. And we pot roast ducks, pretty often down here. We'll make it what we call a sauce with a rice and gravy. Is that something that you guys, do y'all breast out most of your duck in your recipes, or are y'all keeping, a body with the cavity and cooking it down in a gravy, or what? Is that something that you see?
We typically mostly breast out. Now, I have a couple friends that have smokers, and they'll take a whole duck and smoke it that way. But for us, mainly, we just breast them out and just do the basics. A lot of times, thumb on the grill, seasoned thumb on the grill, maybe wrap them in bacon or something like that. Or sometimes we'll just make duck nuggets and just deep fry them, and we'll season them in this little dipping sauce,
Yeah, I tell you, that's something. Duck nuggets is something that we tried probably about 7-8 years ago, man. I had never, believe it or not, with all the ways we cook duck down here, different ways, I had never eaten fried duck breast. And one of my buddies, we were at his camp, and he said, we had some ducks left over from the previous year that he wanted to go ahead and cook. And he said, man, I have some chicken fry. He said, I think I'm going to batter these, cut them up into nuggets, and I'm going to batter them up. He said, we're going to fry them and see how they come out. And when I tell you, Carl, I like to kill myself eating on those things. You talk about delicious. If you haven't eaten fried duck breast like that, you need to try it, because it's amazing, man.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
It really is. It's just another way to cook it, and it's a simple way you can get out there and enjoy it. And you can feed a lot of people. It's a great thing to do around the camp or around the house. People could drink beer, and they can grab and pick in there and, get them a piece and dip it and just have a good time. Great appetizer.
Yeah, it is.
So, yep. So no matter where you go across the country, we all like to eat, and it's always good to share new recipes with each other. But, duck breast fried is definitely something that you do not want to overlook, man.
No, it's awesome. I don't know if you guys do much goose hunting, but when we goose hunt, we take our goose breast them out like we do a duck. And my buddy can make one of the best goose stews there ever was. I mean, it is just it's delicious.
I love eating goose. I love it. Now I don't get to goose hunt like I did growing up. I grew up in agriculture field territory. We had a lot of rice fields, and I did goose hunt back then. But nowadays I live more toward the big city. We're not around access to the rice fields where I'm at now, so I don't get to goose hunt as much as I do or used to. But yeah, I know it's great to eat. I don't get my hands on it as much because I don't hunt it, but I enjoy some good goose hunting and eating goose. It's definitely good stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
I don't know if you caught the episode we did a couple of weeks ago on when we had Mr. Roland Cortez, who's a good friend of mine. He was hunting up at he's guiding up at Dave's Bayou, which is a resort here in North Louisiana, Carl. And he had a trip that they just got back from last weekend where they went to Stuttgart, Arkansas, and they did what they termed as a Cajun invasion guided trip where they went up there and did some goose hunting. And man, Roland posted some pictures, and they absolutely hammered the speckled bellies up there in Stuttgart last weekend. I think they ended up taking 15 to 20 people, and they had like a limit within an hour and a half. Everybody had limited out, and they had these big stack of geese everywhere. So they hammered them up there, man.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I did get to watch that. That was a good episode. Yeah, I wish we had specs around here. We're just now we're starting to get a few snow geese late in the year, but ours is just primary Canada's.
Canada's, yeah. And you see, that used to be real big down here in Louisiana. Canada geese would actually migrate to Louisiana years ago, and that was one of their main, wintering grounds. And nowadays, we don't get Canada's hardly down here anymore. If we get Canada's, it's all local birds most of the time. You'll see specks here. You'll see snow geese, that type of stuff. Mainly specks, though. That's our main species we see.
Yeah, Canada's they're up here year round too, but we get quite a few starting once the migration starts. And I've heard guys killing some specks around here in West Virginia, but I have never seen them. I've seen snow geese, but not a lot. But it seems like over the years that population is growing. So hopefully we'll get to where we start having a good, maybe who knows, spring conservation snow hunt someday.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that as numbers increase, hopefully that you'll see that and get that opportunity to do that, So, well, any questions from me, Carl? I know I get questions from my out-of-state friends all the time about Louisiana. You pretty tuned in, so you might not have any, but anything that you dying to know about hunting in Louisiana down here that you don't know?
What is your main, like for us, obviously wood ducks are our primary duck here because we don't get a lot of other species. What is your old primary duck?
Well, wood ducks is our primary. That's here. That's a given most of the time, as far as wood ducks go. And to be honest with you, but the second species I tell you that we get down here most of the time is going to be gadwall. That's good. Gadwall and teal. Gadwall, teal, and wood ducks are going to be our top three species that we see more and more of every year. Mallards, it used to be a big mallard, migration, territory. But nowadays we're seeing less and less mallards as well down here in Louisiana. They just aren't making their way down the flyway to us, like they used to. You're seeing more of them in Oklahoma, Arkansas, obviously with the green tree timber they got up there. Missouri is another area, and it seems like they're stopping in those areas before they really make big pushes down to Louisiana. We have to get cold weather in order to be able to push them down to us nowadays,
Yeah, we kind of are. Obviously, you're further south than us, so it takes a lot to get them to go down there. But yeah, the cold weather for them to get here to us too. Now, do you all see a lot of different species in the later? What's your all's late season?
Okay, so we have two zones this year. They changed it up. We had an east zone, a west zone, and a coastal zone, which was marshes down along the coast, Gulf of Mexico, Venice, all those areas. And this year they went back to a two zone. It's an east zone and a west zone. So our west zone is actually going to open up first split this coming weekend. Okay. And then we open up in the east zone where we predominantly hunt, going to be the weekend after that. And then we'll go through the end of November, and then we'll close for a week and a half, somewhere right around there. And then we'll open back up and go through the end of January for the second split. We're doing two splits. And that's how they've been doing it for years. They just condensed the zones down to two zones this year is what they did. Now, to touch base on different species, yes, we do see different species. We'll kind of get a mixed bag of everything down here for the most part. It's not uncommon, in the river systems and the marshes to see bufflehead. Catahoula Lake, I don't know if you've heard of Catahoula Lake. That's a historic duck hunting area in central Louisiana. Canvasback now, that's a huge canvasback wintering area. They have big numbers of canvasback up there. But we'll see canvasback. We'll see a lot of divers in the marsh, especially over the last several years. Where we used to get mallards and big numbers of teal, stuff like that, we'll see way more divers now. And a lot of that is being contributed, people are saying, to the loss of coastal marshland that we see deteriorating every year in Louisiana. But a lot of divers, big numbers of divers, from redheads to, scaup, all that type of stuff. So we see a lot of different species down here.
Cool. Yeah, the last couple of years we've been seeing a lot more ringnecks than we normally have. So that's number one on my bucket list right now. Everybody's got one but me, so I'm hoping I can get one this year.
Man, I tell you, I'll extend this offer to you, Carl. You ever want to come down to Louisiana and hunt with me? I'll take you, and we'll get you that bucket list ringneck. That's not going to be a problem, I promise you.
Yeah, well, I might just take you up on it one of these days.
We need to do that. We'll swap hunts. So I can take a kayak hunting trip up to West Virginia, and you come down to Louisiana. We'll feed you well, and we'll take you hunting the marshes down here, man. Take you down to Venice.
Down for Cajun food.
No, hey, we'll send you back with plenty of food. Bring an ice chest. I promise you, we'll fill it for you, and we'll feed you while you're here. That's not a problem. But yeah, we could definitely get you a scalp if that's on your bucket list. Now, you mentioned black ducks earlier. Y'all get black ducks up there. We don't see that down here. That's one species we don't get an opportunity to really shoot down here a whole lot.
Yeah, the last couple of years, we've been seeing more and more numbers of them. Now, I don't know why that is, and maybe I don't know, because I look at it because we're losing less mallards, but we're gaining other birds. So I don't know why that is, like I said. But and you mentioned gadwalls. We have seen a lot of gadwalls the last 2 years. We got this one little honey hole. It's just covered up in gadwall. If we want to kill a duck, we can always go there and get a gadwall. So that's we kind of save that spot for later in the year, towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I will not shy away from gadwall. I absolutely love hunting gadwall. Yeah. Beautiful birds, big birds. I love gadwall. And it's a great eating duck. And I promise you, we get a good bit of them down here, especially where we hunt the timber. Gadwall have basically moved into the timber where we hunt, kind of like mallards we used to get mallards back in the day, and we get our fair share of gadwall as well. And I love hunting them. Jackson said this year he wants to kill a widgeon. That's on his bucket list. And he said, Dad, I'd like to get a big Drake gadwall. He said, maybe mount it, Is widgeon something y'all see up there?
And now last year there were reports of widgeon in the area in the state, but we didn't see any where we hunt at. But I've seen a lot of guys post on social media they seen them, and a couple guys got them. But I wish we did get them. I'd love to have one of those too. That's a beautiful bird there, I think.
That's one of my favorite birds. I always tell people, they ask me what you think is the most beautiful bird, and I think a wood duck's the most beautiful bird. Yeah, the colors and just the way they look, they are absolutely gorgeous. But honestly, I don't think there's a bad looking duck. Even hooded marganzas and stuff like that we look at as trash birds. Down here, at least we do. Hell, you kill a Drake hooded marganza, and that's an absolutely beautiful bird to mount.
Yeah, I killed a pair there, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I got mounted. But yeah, they're nice looking birds. Yeah.
Does Carl Birchfield eat a hooded marganza? Will you eat a hooded marganza?
I have never eaten one now. I would try it. But,
I tell you, don't. That is the nastiest bird I've ever eaten. And hey, look, Carl, if a Cajun can't cook something and make it taste good, trust me, you don't want to be eating it. A hooded marganza is so bad, in my opinion, that when you throw it down, the dog won't even eat it. That's just my experience on that. Now, I'm sure they got guys listening to the show that's going to say, oh, you full of crap. I could cook a hood of merganser, and you never know it. It's delicious. Hey, maybe you can, but I never met you yet. I can tell you that.
I like the 2 hourly killed. I didn't eat them. I got them mounted. So
that's a good place for it. Get them mounted. They make a good. They taste better on that wall than they do eating it in your plate. I promise you. So, but they make a beautiful mount. They really do. It's a gorgeous bird, you know. So, and they always get me because they come flying in, and I think it's a damn teal. They fly so fast. They come in, and I pull up. I'm eager to pull up on public land. And I shoot, and then I'm like, oh shit, that's a hooded merganser, you know. And all my brothers are laughing, or we're laughing at them if they shoot one, you know. But it seems to get us every year. We'll get 1 or 2 where we hunt at. But yeah, I mean, we see, you know, down here in Louisiana, we get a lot of different species, but you know, predominantly what I told you, that's going to be the majority. Gadwall, you know, we get a lot of gadwall, but we get wood ducks, obviously, teal, and gadwall's our 3 big species that we see down here for the most part.
That's pretty good. That's kind of similar to ours too. I mean, throw in the black ducks here. We're starting to get more of those, and so I'm looking to get a bull black duck get mounted too. So I'm hoping. I had one last year, and I decided not to mount it. I kind of wish I would have. So
yeah, that's a gorgeous duck, man. And like I said, that'd be a bird on my bucket list I'd like to get as a black duck. We just don't get a whole lot down here. We get mottled ducks in the marshes, you know, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with the mottled ducks, but it looks similar to a mallard, you know, somewhat like a mallard.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Well, I've, you know, just other than pictures, I've never seen one in person and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
We'll see them down in the marshes. We'll get them down in Venice, you know, quite often, stuff like that. If you ever get it to come down to Louisiana, Carl, we got to get you down to Venice, Louisiana, because Venice is, you know, the mouth of the Mississippi River enters into the Gulf of Mexico right there, and it's a major waterfowl destination. Man, we could go down there, take a trip. You could hunt, fish. We could do everything, man. It's really a phenomenal area. We'd have to get you down there. And I'm looking. I just see another flock of 5 or 6 wood ducks. They're moving late this morning, man. They ain't adjusted to that daylight savings time yet. They ain't adjusted to it. So, well, Carl, look, man, our time is coming to an end. But I want to thank you so much for coming on with us this weekend, bud. It's a pleasure meeting you in person. I know we talk online quite often, but man, with modern technology, it seems like we're in the same room and we get to sit down and talk waterfowl hunting. You don't get much better than that when you can meet a new friend and talk duck hunting, man.
Oh yeah, I agree. I appreciate the invite. You know, and I'm always willing to talk duck hunting. So that's my passion. I'm obsessed with it. I drive a lot of people nuts throughout the year because that's all I do is talk about waterfowl hunting. So
We're the same way. We're the same way. Trust me. Well, where can our listeners find you guys to share? Well, I know we touched on it, but once again, where can they find X-Fowls Waterfowl?
We're on Instagram primarily there at X-Fowls, and the same on Facebook, X-Fowls on Facebook there. That's and I got a YouTube. I got 1 or 2 videos on it. I'm going to work on some videos today when I get off here with you. I'm going to edit my pheasant hunt there, be starting on that, and maybe put together a duck hunt or something. But yeah, on YouTube there, so follow us along. Hopefully, I'll have some good footage from late season here. I'll have that on there shortly. So editing's pretty tough for me because I usually don't get to do it till Saturdays and Sunday because of work. And then I usually don't get that one or too late.
Oh, yeah, we know how that is. And I love doing the podcast. I've been recording on Sundays. I love Sunday mornings, you know. It's a good time for the most part. But once we kick up with the duck season opening up here, we're going to be hunting on Sunday morning, so we're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to start recording on another day. And we're gonna do a couple of podcasts from the duck blind this year. We did one last year, me and Jackson. And we had a lot of good feedback from that. So we're gonna do a couple of them live in the duck blind. We're gonna try that and see how that turns out. But I'm looking forward to that. But look, buddy, I just want to thank you again. I want to wish you guys the best of luck in as y'all kick off the or what I would term, I guess, the second split. You call it the late season split, I believe. But good luck to you guys, and I hope y'all take care. Stay healthy, stay safe out there, and keep sharing those stories with us, man. We want to stay tuned to that. how the season's going to end up with you guys finishing up. And guys, go check out Carl. Like I said, X-Fowls Waterfowl on Instagram. You can find them there, but go check them out. But Carl, thank you so much, buddy, and we'll do it again hopefully soon.
Oh, I hope so, and I wish the best to you guys too.
Thank you so much, man. You take care of yourself. Go edit some video, buddy.
Yeah, all right.
All right, you have a good one, Carl. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you later.
All right. Well, guys, that's all we have for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed our guest, Mr. Carl Birchfield with X-Fowls Waterfowl. If you're streaming on YouTube, we appreciate it, guys, if you give us that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for future podcast episodes where you guys can see a beautiful face that's made for radio. So we appreciate you guys tuning in to this week's episode. Don't forget to check out our great sponsors that we talk about on the show every week. Go check them out. Awesome products, great companies to work with. We know you'll be excited with it, their products and their, just their customer service in general. Don't forget to tell them you heard about them on Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors. Until next week, guys, this is Jacob at Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors signing off. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.